Hey, what's up, boys? Hey, Tom Kelly from BeeSafe here. Obviously, you all know that, but I'm going to introduce the recording of our very first conference call, dealer conference call of the year. It took place on Tuesday, the 5th of November, and we talked about a bunch of stuff, sort of a broad view of many things. We talked a little bit about an annual review, some of the challenges that we came across, our response to some of those challenges. We talked about our new relationship with Andrew Potoshnik at Lawn Care Marketing Expert. We talked about our new centralized marketing campaign for 2014. We talked about the importance of renewals, end of season renewals. And I want to mention next week's call is going to be completely based on your renewal campaign. You've got to get that thing going to generate some prepays so that you can launch next year's centralized marketing campaign. We talked about some improved brand building from a corporate standpoint, and we also talked quickly about some products that we've got in our warehouse that we want to try to move out before the winter. So it's only about a 45-minute call. It's not that long as far as we go. If you want to watch it, enjoy it. Hopefully you'll join me next week because we really need to get that renewal campaign going. And I'm glad to be talking to you guys once a week now. Hopefully you're wrapping up. Hopefully it's all good. Talk to you later.
Okay, hey guys, good afternoon. Welcome to our first conference call of the year, the first conference call of the off season. And I look forward to these, believe it or not. They're a good time. I like them. I like talking to everybody, sharing ideas and all that kind of good stuff. We've got about 25 guys on right now, so welcome back, everybody. And I assume that the attendance will absolutely get bigger as we go. As usual, and for those of you guys who haven't been on a call before, basically what we do is once a week, we all get together. I try to put together a little bit of an agenda that we can follow, and we have a pretty decent conference call. The best way for us to communicate back and forth is through the chat feature. I've been talking to a couple of you guys on here already. If I unmute everybody, we've all of a sudden got 30 people trying to talk at the same time, and it just doesn't work. So what we do is we try to get something going, ask questions in the chat feature there, and I can respond to them. If we need to unmute somebody, we can always do that. I can unmute people one at a time. But once you get up to 2, 3, 4, 20, 30, or 40, it's absolute chaos. So we'll start doing this once a week beginning today. Hopefully this is a good time for you guys, and I'm also recording it. I always record our calls, and I'll post them. I think I'm going to start posting everything in the due diligence website in there. There's a place for a blog. I'll start accumulating all of our information in there, and hopefully for those who aren't able to join us, they can go back and listen to or watch the call. And if you're so inclined, if you're so entertained with our call, you can go back and watch it again, which would always be a wonderful way to spend a Saturday night. So I basically put together some notes on a PowerPoint presentation here to kind of get something organized. This will be our agenda for today. Today I don't want to spend a ton of time. I know you guys are still real busy finishing up, getting things done, and most of you are still on the road. So, you know, typically in the past we've gone, geez, Keith, last year, we'd occasionally go 90 minutes. I think even more than that once in a while. Let's try to keep it way less than that today, anyways. And you know, maybe as we progress, we'll be able to spend a little bit more time. But I know you're busy, and we're not going to spend a lot of detail today. I want to just kind of review a few things, do sort of a 40,000-foot view of where we are and where we're going. So we'll go ahead and get started. We'll talk about what, you know, the year in general, some of the challenges, what our responses to some of the challenges are going to be in 2014. We're going to talk about a renewal campaign. We're going to talk about our relationship with Lawn Care Marketing Expert and a centralized marketing campaign that I'm putting together. Talk about some of the improved brand building we're doing here as a company for you guys. and the fire sale. The fire sale. We've got some inventory left over that we want to roll out at a discounted rate to you guys if you want to buy it. Just some things in the back closet and in the warehouse. So when I put together this agenda, we've got this new sort of PowerPoint presentation. It looks all fancy and pretty and everything, right? Fancy looking big. And what I did was I just basically stole it from our webinar presentations that we do for recruitment. And I just deleted all of that information. But I thought I'd leave this one up because if you guys haven't seen this, it's pretty sweet. Over the summer, Entrepreneur Magazine did an article about BeeSafe, about how we are a so-called disruptor in the industry. So every year, Entrepreneur Magazine does a disruptor issue, and they take successful brands that are doing things or becoming successful or doing things in a successful manner that are different than what their industry is used to doing. And this wasn't something that we reached out and applied for. They contacted us. One of the writers contacted us, and they did a pretty awesome article about BeeSafe and how we are kind of shaking things up in the industry a little bit. This came out in July, I think. So if you want to Google it, it's pretty good. We had a good time doing it. Right now we're at 74 locations. We've really begun to recruit in a big way this fall. We were kind of recruiting all summer long and into the early part of the fall, and we brought on 5 or 6 new companies. We've got a lot of stuff going on right now. We were down at GIE, talked to lots of people. If any of you guys are down at GIE, and I know some of you were, I don't know if any of you guys I saw down there are on today, but we generated something like 250 leads, which was good because in the last year at GIE we generated I think 75. This year we generated more than 200. We had a girl walking around dressed up as a bee, which didn't hurt either. But and nobody, as I said before, you probably heard me do this routine before, nobody wants to fight anymore. Whereas in the past, putting ourselves out there as an alternative, or I guess as a disruptor, we kind of shake things up a little bit. Some of the old school guys don't like it, and oftentimes at those types of shows, somebody will come up and call me a punk or something, or say, I'm hurting the industry, something like that. And everybody's completely on board. It's really recognizable that the industry is changing, and we've survived quite a few rounds of new companies coming around. 5 years ago, everybody was an organic lawn care company. There was products everywhere, and when I first started Firebelly, they were a dime a dozen. Now there aren't very many left, and we've survived, and hopefully we'll continue to thrive. So we're growing. Our goal is to be over 100 by the end of the year. That's going to be a stretch goal, but I think we're going to try like hell to get there. Some of the challenges in 2013. 2013 this year was, I feel like I've been saying this the last couple of years, but it was a tough year for a lot of reasons. We had a very difficult weather year in the Northeast, the Midwest, the Mid-Atlantic. We started late. It was a late spring. Then we had a very rainy May, followed by very dry June. And the last few years have been all about extremes, where there's, for instance, how about this fall, at least in the Northeast and New England, it hasn't rained in October and November. We've had in October on an average of about 6 inches of rain. October is the rainiest month of the entire year. On an average of about 6 inches of rain, we had about 3/4 of an inch, so it's been an incredibly dry fall. I know that it's been the opposite out in some places in the Midwest. You get a lot of rain. I see snow. It's all over the place. So some of those things, translated to some agronomic issues for sure. One was certainly green up in the springtime. Of Crabgrass took another 3 years off my life this summer. Lots of weeds. Product efficacy, the adios didn't come through quite the way we thought it was going to. So there were some things going on, and we'll talk about that in a little bit of detail. Did I miss any challenges, guys? Feel free to type in if if there's something else you think I should cover. We're certainly trying to address every challenge that we possibly can. Bob got some disease activity. There's no doubt about that. My baseball field up in Portland. I don't know if Dave, are you on this call? I know you were registered. I don't know if you showed up. Customers being very impatient, Keith says. That is going to be a challenge no matter what, no matter what you do. But with that in mind, let's use that as kind of a pivot point here, because some of the modifications we're going to make for next year are going to address that directly. So green up. We had a tough time greening things up in the springtime, and that was for a couple reasons. And when I speak about some of these issues, most of it's in the north and transition zones. If anybody is in the south, you guys had actually a really good year. Is anybody in the southern zone on the call today? It's hard for me to look at everybody who's on all at once. If anybody's in the south, speak up, say so. But so in the north and the transition zones, with a very late spring, you didn't get out there until, in a lot of cases, a couple weeks after then, you were typically used to getting out there. With that in mind, round one of our program doesn't have a fertilizer in it. Round one was growth activator and kelp. So there were occasions, even though it was a late start to the spring, it adjusted itself. So by the time we got to Memorial Day, it was hot. So there are many applications or many times where round two didn't get done until close to the end of June, and that was when you were putting your first fertilizer down. So green up was an issue. We're going to address that by changing a little bit of the program. We're also, I've been working on, that's the modifications to the program, and we'll get all of this information out to you as we go. Scott and I will be working on it, have been working on it all summer. And we'll finalize what we're going to do sooner than later. So we're going to take that growth activator out around one. We're going to do a fertilizer around one, which I think is going to be our new 1200. And this is a very cool, completely organic product, 12% nitrogen. We might be able to get 13% nitrogen. It is an amino acid-based fertilizer, nitrogen derived completely from amino acids. It's a powder. So it's going to be a way for us to get more nitrogen, completely organic nitrogen, into the program early on. It is not a bioenhanced product. That's why we're going to use it round one. We're going to keep that the biology out of it. We'll probably add a little bit round one through a different product, which I'll talk about in a minute. Those who began to use the 2000, the bioenhanced urea product, which is not certifiably organic, and I talk about standards being reformulated up here, I'm struggling with the fact that an organic standard will not allow me to use 0.3 of a pound of bioenhanced urea, because I know there are certain times of the year where that's what my customers want. That's what they need. And with urea not having, or the way we use urea, feed-grade urea, we're not talking about sulfur-coated, we're not talking about a complicated fertilizer with chlorine in it. We're talking about a feed-grade urea product that's being applied alongside a consortium of microorganisms to reduce the amount of urea that we're applying. It has no negative impact on the environment or on our health. And I know that USDA agricultural standards and NOFA standards do not allow for urea. I do know that our companies who decided to forego the standards a little bit and use the 2000 in certain places are very, very happy. And that solves that impatience issue, Keith, with green up. And I'm not talking about weeds here. I'm talking about turf coming out of dormancy, turf growing vigorously, turf being a dark green. That 2000, although not certifiably organic, solves that problem. So I've been, I haven't made anything official, but it's been my goal to formulate our own standards in terms of what we're trying to accomplish. And will I get it done this year? I don't know, but I'd like to have a written guidebook. NOFA is a little bit too strict for me sometimes too. I want to use their standards because that is, a very conservative and respectable book of standards. But sometimes, as I speak with the NOFA people, including the grand wizard of lawn care that we call him, Chip, it's almost as if NOFA would rather have no lawn care than create standards to create healthy lawns. So, we struggle with that. I personally struggle with it, and your input is certainly appreciated. And Keith, I think you're right here with what you say. You think you need it at the time of year when the grass is growing and the weeds are not. That's totally true. Prior to the outbreak of crabgrass, rounds 1 and round 2, you need that grass, especially in cool season and transition zones, growing. That's when we fertilize. That's one of the growth spurts of cool season transition turf. It wants to grow in the spring. We need to help it grow, and we need to really crank that up to help block out the crabgrass. So I'll continue to struggle with whether or not urea is acceptable or not, but we do offer it, and those who use it are happy with it. You got to get out earlier. That's one of the things we say here. Don't wait. As soon as the snow melts, get out on the road. Don't try to time it appropriately. Get that first application done as soon as you can. We used to shoot for what we call 3 by the 4th. If we could have 3 applications done by the 4th of July, we'd have an awesome year. Then you can kind of slow down in the summer and pick it up again in the fall. That's something I think you guys need to do. Crabgrass. Crabgrass, again, has taken some years off my life. We worked all summer on trying to develop something. I'm going to go out on my PowerPoint here for a minute and show you something here. This is a study that was done last spring or this early summer by some doctoral candidates in China. And I've highlighted some of the important parts. I can get this out to you if you'd like. But basically what it is, right, crabgrass oleochemicals that interfere with crop growth in the soil microbial community. This is a really, really super complicated scientific study that was in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry. This is, a real intellectual thing that's beyond most of us, of course. But what it's trying to show is that the crabgrass plant, once it germinates, produces chemicals. These chemicals right here: baratric acid, maltol, and lolilolide. These are chemicals that the crabgrass plant actually produces and puts out around its crown, and it gets down into the rhizosphere. An oleochemical is something that's produced naturally by a plant. What this does is it gets out into the area around the crown of the plant, down into the rhizosphere, and destroys soil biology. So what happens is that turf that's living in the plant, in the soil around the crabgrass plant, quickly goes dormant because it has nothing to sustain itself with. So that gives the crabgrass plant an absolute opportunity to expand quickly. So when you see that crabgrass explosion, and most of you know this crabgrass explosion, crabgrass explosion that happened in late July this year, it's kind of begun to be proven that that's as a result of chemicals that the crabgrass plant puts out into the rhizosphere. So what we did was we've begun to try to address that in our program here. Stand by. We tried to put together, obviously not me, Scott's the one working in the lab, right, Scott? No, the experts that we work with to put together our product. We can essentially make or create anything we want to create. We went to them with this study, they looked at it, and we wanted to put together or invent a product that would, A, kill those oleochemicals or kind of turn them around, and B, repopulate the soil of biology. They're still working on the component that's going to neutralize the chemicals. That's still being worked on. They couldn't get it done in an inoculant type setting, and now they're trying to get it into the 702. It's all about stability and keeping the microorganisms stable and that sort of deal. But what they were able to do is kind of change the consortium of microorganisms in the inoculant to help repopulate those that the oleochemicals would destroy. So what we've done is taken growth activator and changed it, made it better. We've kind of changed up the consortium of the bugs. We've changed up the numbers of the bugs. We've changed up the nutrients and the metabolites in the product for the bugs to survive. And we're going to put that into the program throughout the beginning part of the season to try to combat the crabgrass problem. Hopefully we'll be able to continue to work on getting something that will combat the oleochemicals too, but that's one thing that we're going to do to try to deal with crabgrass. I think it'll work. Any questions about that? I mean, that's a real massive sort of shot of theory out there without going into too much detail, but we'll continue to go into detail. I wanted to talk about some of the problems that we've had on lawns and some of the ways in which we're going to address them. That's all. And we'll work on those more so in the future. So here we are towards the end of the year, and how many of you have implemented a renewal campaign? Anybody? Customer renewal campaign is a really, really important part of marketing. It is absolutely the most important part of marketing. It's the springboard from which all of your marketing will launch. Without an organized and managed renewal campaign, you'll not be able to invest in marketing. You must promote prepays in November and December. So I know you guys are running around like crazy trying to finish the year and dealing with so many other moving parts that I want to help you get this renewal campaign off the ground. You really need to get something going in November and December to get your customers to renew, first of all, to prevent them from canceling. Second of all, you want to get them to prepay. You want to get as many as you possibly can to prepay for your services for the following year, because that helps in a lot of different ways. A, it gives you money to spend on marketing, and it makes you feel a little bit more secure over the course of the winter. And B, it secures your customers. They can't be stolen. The competition isn't going to come in and get them. So we're going to work on a renewal campaign, and next week's call will revolve completely around how to implement that, how to make it work. You need to do a contest, a renewal contest to get your customers to renew by a certain date. We used to give away a snowblower. If you renewed by December 30th, you'd get involved in the snowblower drawing, something like that, and we can get that launched for you. But the prepayment part of it is really the most important part. You need to get some prepayments in. I also wanted to talk about our relationship with Andrew Potoshnik here. How many of you guys have talked to Andrew so far with the marketing kickstart package? We decided to bring on somebody who can really help us with marketing. And what better person than lawn care marketing expert, Andrew Potoshnik, Jonathan's brother. Andrew is going to work directly with BeeSafe. I think he's probably reached out to you, and most of you probably haven't reached back. We had dinner with him down at GIE, and I had to say, they're pretty busy. It's hard to get their attention any other time than the off season. But what he's done for BeeSafe is he's put together some training videos. He's put together a lot of theory, and he's really going to be able to help you implement a good marketing program. He's calling it a marketing makeover. So he's contacting you to try to schedule a call and take a look at what you're doing with marketing and what he thinks you can do better. This is his language here: learn how to implement the marketing plan every single month, train you how to position and sell recurring services. They'll give you $500 credit towards what he does, what he sells. He's a specialist in SEO, to be found, to have your website get found when people search. Sales processes, he's really good at. He's going to give you tips, videos, all kinds of good stuff. he's a real expert. The name of his company is Lawn Care Marketing Expert. I mean, how do you beat that? So he's sort of our consultant to help you improve your systems and processes for marketing. I also want to help you guys implement hard sources of marketing. Not just theory, not just, yeah, I think I can try this, I want to try to do that. I want to build a campaign that you can opt into. And we've talked about this in the past, as we're not a franchise, we can't do it for you. And what I always say is there won't be a BeeSafe Super Bowl commercial anytime soon. We are not a franchise that's able to spend money to generate business for you. That's one of the advantages or disadvantages, or however you want to look at it, of being a dealer network as opposed to a franchise. But I can put things together that you can opt into, and that's what I've been working on for about a month now, and I'm enjoying it. Mike Riley, Mike, you on the call? Hello, Mike. I don't see you. He came up with this, I think I put this in one of my emails. Wars are won with strategic planning and power in numbers. And that's so true. And I refer to GIE again. Down there, hey, what's up, Mike? You are there. Down at GIE, for the first time, people were beginning to pander to us, which was a total turn of events to the point that we've been noticed. So vendors who have services were coming to talk to us. So something's going right. You know, we've got a presence, meaning we're not just, you know, one company, we're a consortium or a group of many companies. And this, the way Mike put it in an email, just struck me perfectly. Wars are won with strategic planning and power in numbers. So, with that being said, I'm going to put together a strategic plan and negotiate the hell out of the numbers with many different vendors, and have you be able to opt in with hard sources of marketing, not theory, not SEO, not feelings, but actual hard sources. So as I always say, we need to analyze, plan, implement, adjust. We're in the analyze part right now. We're completing the analyze part. I know what we need to do to get it done. We're building a plan now with costs and results and goals. It will be implemented, and if it works, great, we'll leave it alone. If something needs to be tweaked, we'll tweak it. Something always needs to be tweaked. So here are some of the things that I'm working on right now to help you be more proactive in building your business and making sales. Your list. Number one, how many of you guys actually have a marketing universe, a separate list of people you'd like to sell your services to? You need to have a list. You need to identify, in most cases, I would think, based on the size of most of your businesses, about 100,000 people in your market that are apt to purchase what you sell. You need to have that list in a database for easy access. You need to identify them, and then you need to start touching them. You need to start touching them as soon as you possibly can. Without a list, the universe is sort of wide open. You need a marketing database that you will market to through the winter and into the spring, that you want to get in touch with. That's so important. And I don't think many of you have that marketing list. Those who use Real Green, maybe. Does anybody use the marketing universe on Real Green? Most of you don't use Real Green, but I know some of you do. Service Autopilot would be able to accommodate a list or a marketing universe, but you need to buy it. You need to purchase and constantly update what we used to call the market file. And every winter you update the market file. You get rid of the people who've moved. You update the people who've changed their telephone numbers. You get rid of the people who've died. You introduce or add the people who've moved into your market. You always need to know who your target market is. I've been talking with some list companies to get you the best price on that. It's not going to cost a ton of dough, but trust me, it's an investment you need to make. You absolutely need to make it. So I think we can probably be in the neighborhood of about 5 cents per prospect that you're going to download into a database, and you're going to sell to those people. You know, and that's a reason why you need to generate prepayments in November and December. The only way you're going to make money is to spend a little bit of money, and you don't want to you don't want to be reckless or careless, but a marketing campaign costs money. And you're in a position now with a group of customers where you can leverage the prepayments from your existing customers to get more customers. That's how you do it. That's the trick. If you're going to put your money under your mattress and hope the sky doesn't fall, you're probably not going to do much more than just a couple of referrals. But you need to make an investment in marketing. And if you're willing to do that, we can make it happen. So direct mail. There's a lot of talk recently about direct mail, how it's coming back. Everybody's so hung up on all these newfangled ways to market, and it confuses the heck out of me, and it sure confuses the heck out of you guys too. Direct mail has decreased. There's not a ton of junk mail out there anymore, and it still works in lawn care, and it probably works better in lawn care than it did 3 or 4 years ago. So I've been talking to a couple of direct mail companies to try to put together a campaign, and there's a lot of neat things you can do. Have anybody ever heard of a Pearl before? A Pearl is a personalized URL that you can inject into your direct mail campaign. So I found a couple of examples of this here. So with your list, you buy a list that we talked about in the first step. You pick a certain number of those qualified candidates on your list to send direct mail to. If we put together a Pearl campaign is this right here, a personalized URL. So this is an example. Peapod is a grocery store. It's the Stop and Shop home delivery thing. This direct mail campaign goes out to Mike Jones, and it's addressed specifically to Mike Jones. His name is on it, and it says, go to mikejones.peapod.com today. So it would be mikejones.beesafe.com today. That gives an offer. You always need an offer. So what happens is this doesn't cost a lot of money to do. And because we've got numbers and we've got strategy, and we're going to try to win this war with our numbers, we can afford to do things like this now. Whereas if you're going to do a 5,000-piece direct mail campaign, your cost is going to be, 75 cents a piece, and doing a Pearl is not going to be in your budget. But if we do 1 million of these, we can make it work. So Mike Jones sees that direct mail and says, hey, how do they have my name on a website? He goes to mikejones.peapod.com, and it's a landing page with whatever information you want on there. You capture his information, and we'll build this out. We'll make this work with an offer. We'll make it work with how to do an estimate. I'm pretty excited. I'm going to keep working on this, and hopefully you guys will be able to opt in, and we'll make it affordable for you. So you get it? You put the URL on the direct mail piece. The customer sees that, goes to that landing page, and requests an estimate, or does their own estimate, or whatever we want them to do. It's gonna work out pretty good, I think. Pay-per-click can be confusing and can be very, very expensive unless we do it as a group, and that's what I want to try to put together. Let's get somebody to manage a pay-per-click campaign, somebody who knows what they're doing, and with the volume that we have, we can reduce our costs. I've got a couple of calls scheduled for that, so I don't have anything real hard to report on that yet, but I've got calls scheduled this week to figure out how we can implement that. Social media advertising, it sort of like probably falls into pay-per-click. It works, but it's confusing, and if you're not doing it right, you can spend a lot of money without, before you even know it. Telemarketing is something that has a question mark after it. About 3/4 of the population's on the do not call list, but 1/4 of them aren't. Maybe we'll take a look at that. What about a centralized toll-free number that we can put into that direct mail campaign? It's super affordable now. I mean, it would cost us pennies to do it if we spread it out over the course of the network. If we have an 800 number on a direct mail piece, perhaps it can we can get even an answering service. There's all kinds of possibilities. And Bob Ott suggests we get in touch with the Obamacare website people to see if they can work it out for us. They can put together a pay-per-click campaign. That's a good idea, Bob. Not. lots of different things that I'm toying around with, and hopefully you guys can get on board. But again, the trick is to have power in numbers, reduce our costs because of our volume, and plan it and implement it. I think we'll, direct mail. I keep going back to that because I'm having kind of a good time negotiating with a couple different companies. I think we can put out 1 million pieces of direct mail, guys. I don't think that's a crazy goal at all. I think that's about right. With the number of applicators that we have, the number of applicators who are looking to grow, and the cost being affordable, being down, I'm hoping to be in the 35 cents per piece range. That's my goal. Where when you have 1 million pieces to negotiate, you can get your cost way down, especially with postage. And that's the difference between 1 million piece order and a 5,000 piece order. So I'm hoping to be able to reduce that cost, and if we can put together 1 million direct mail pieces, we'll be in good shape. We've put some effort here into rebuilding our strategy with the website. The consumer site launched last year. It's a little bit clunky with the dealer site attached to it. One thing that I've always hated about the BeeSafe website is that we need to reduce the visibility of our attempts to recruit new applicators, right? So we want to try to be able to, our challenge here is we're building 2 brands. We're building the brand that recruits new dealers, and we're building the brand that recruits new customers for our dealers. And that's been a challenge for us. But we realize that we need to and can make improvements. I'd love to make, anytime anybody Googles organic lawn care across the whole country, BeeSafe comes up first. And in the months that people are looking to hire, they go to BeeSafe Lawns, put in their zip codes, find you, hire you, and pay you. That's how we need to do it. We absolutely can do it too. So we've hired a company to kind of help us with that. To help us with the branding part of it, with the message out there, to build the brand for you. And I like them a lot. We talked to probably 4 or 5 companies, and the one that we settled on who are really going to do it, they get it, which is pretty cool. Yeah, Mike, I know. That's why Mike Riley, he says recently he's had a bunch of calls go out each night, 1% pickup because of caller ID. I can't remember the last time I answered my telephone at home. I don't answer it, the landline. So, I've looked at that. If it's cheap enough, if you get a 1% pickup and then 10% of those accept the lead, it's not worth it. But if it's real cheap, the way I kind of thought about telemarketing a little bit, and maybe you can give me your opinion on this, is if we do manage to put together a central toll-free number that comes into a room, or if we hire somebody, an answering service or maybe a sales force to actually make sales as a result of the leads we generate for you, and that's a stretch. I got to keep this as simple as I can. That'll take a lot of management, and I don't know if we can do it. I think that's kind of what I was thinking about with telemarketing, but a couple people, were talking to us about outbound telemarketing too, and there's perhaps a place for it. I'm not sure there is. It's a big question mark. I'll continue to look into it, though. Yeah, the caller ID. I mean, I forget, the phone rings and I don't even move. The phone rings at my house and it's like, I don't even acknowledge it. So it's probably not a real good option. So brand building, we're on it. We're going to try to do better at it. We're going to try to become known on a consumer basis for you guys. That's important. So how am I doing? 40 minutes. I'm in good shape. So I'd like to finish up. Anybody want to chime in on any of those things or ask any questions? You've all been quiet, and that's scary. Okay. Well, chime in if you must, or if you'd like. If anybody wants to speak up or say anything, all you got to do is tell me, and I can unmute you. We've got some product in the warehouse, not very much, but it's going to do better in your warehouse than it will in our warehouse. So this is what's remaining of our inventory. We'll call it the fire sale. If any of you guys are trying to spend some money before the year ends to dump some profit, or you just want to try to take advantage of this, we've got some product in the warehouse. Not a lot. We got a little growth activator. These are all 5-gallon containers. We got some 702. If any of you are interested in taking some of this, call Scott, who is typing at me in here. Scott is registered as Johnny Gomes. So every time Scott types something, I see Johnny Gomes come up. A couple questions. Well, what are our thoughts on weeds in the coming season? Ben, I can't afford any more years off my life because I'm in my 40s now, and I've lost years every summer since 1993, and so we got to come up with something. But the weeds this year were terrible because of the absolute ridiculous rain in June that we had, followed by the dry periods and heat throughout. I mean, and if you Google, I think I sent out every once in a while studies about why the weeds were so bad. Different companies went at it different ways. Armed with a hand can of Adios and 2,000 or 5,000 square feet of crabgrass, you got no chance. Most of our guys, and I'm okay with this, bent the rules with the products that they were using. If you talk to your customers, you always want to do specifically what your customer wants. And if they want their crabgrass gone, and the most effective and inexpensive and economically appropriate way to do that is to spray an herbicide, I want you to do that. That's important. The goal is always to create thick turf, to crowd out weeds, mow high, all that happy crap, and increase the soil biology. And you will see over the course of years that your turf is absolutely going to become much more healthy and reduce weed populations. But in the event like it was this summer, where where it's just a bad year, you just got to stay at it. And sometimes it turns into a customer service issue as much as it turns into a product issue, especially with crabgrass, where the answer to your customer is when they call and they say, I have crabgrass, you say, I understand that. I'm going to work hard to get rid of it. Let me schedule a service call and get out there. And do whatever you need to do to get that crabgrass out of there. If you're going to treat it with an herbicide, get their permission. If you got to go out there 4 times, by the time the 4th or 5th time comes around, you're in tears because you've been yelled at for a long time. But you're getting towards the end of the year. Once you get into September, that crabgrass begins to go away, August and September, and it's less of an issue. The perception that your customer has is that it's a result of you getting out there multiple times to do something about it. We all know lawn care customers have very short memories. So as long as it appears that if you're working hard and you acknowledge their concerns and you want to keep at it, that's what you got to do. And if you need to employ the use of a rescue treatment, even NOFA allows a rescue treatment for a certain problem when it approaches the economic threshold for damage. And if the customer's going to cancel because of crabgrass, that's economic damage. And you absolutely would rather have them take 1 step backwards and save them in terms of product usage to move 2 steps forward. If they cancel, they're going back to True Green. So, your advocacy applies, but you have to do that. Hi, Scott. Hey, Tom. He's leaving. See you, Scott. I'm sorry. Scott stuck his head in with his jacket on. He had to take off. So, rescue treatments are absolutely appropriate. A couple other questions here. Advertising in print on a national level. That's a great idea, Keith. We're talking about how to get the brand into the heads of the consumer. That's one thing that they talked about. The company that we hired was PR. And not only in an effort to recruit new applicators, but to get the brand out there, which then would recruit new applicators. So they will be doing some PR for us, absolutely. What else here? Especially the ones the young mothers read. Yeah, that's right. You got to get in front of the right demographic. So that's the way to go. Anything else, guys? So listen, get in touch with Scott if you want to buy some of this product. A couple other questions popping up as we go here. Soil testing, $30 at Lesco. Yikes. Okay. Bobot asks, this is the advantage of the network here. Let me put it out there. Is there a lab that we can hire to do soil testing for us at a reduced rate? The local Lesco charges $30 per test. If we can get it down to $5 per test, we can absorb the cost into the program. So a couple things. A basic soil test is always going to be cheapest at your cooperative extension. So in New Jersey, it's Rutgers, obviously, that would do it. It's just going to take forever to get the results back. At Lesco or JDL, by the way, did you guys know John Deere Landscape sold this week? They sold to an equity company, and nobody's quite sure what's going to happen. Christy, hey Christy, I didn't even know you're on here. Christy Garrison says Clemson University costs $6. It takes 2 weeks. That's not too bad. That's pretty good. If you're going to send it through Lesco, all Lesco's doing is sending it out to a place called CLC Labs. So you could just skip Lesco and send it to CLC, Bob. There's 2 big soil testing companies, CLC Laboratories and Spectrum Analytic. If you talk to them, they'll probably give you a discount on some bulk. But in regards to pH, just get your pH meter out there. That'll do the trick. Robert, definitely. Thank you. Let's schedule a call. Robert Davis down south. So he's talking about having some experience with some of the things that we're talking about with marketing. So yeah, definitely. Let's talk later in the week, Robert. CLC Labs and Spectrum Analytic. Bob, those are who you want to talk to. Hey, with Christy asking a question, has anybody else had any issue with the 003 staining anything? Christy had some overspray with the 003 staining, and I just wanted to check with you guys to see if there was anything else. Anybody else had that experience? No. Oh, we've got a winner. Jim, is that right? Okay. Christy, you're not alone. And she's mentioning something settling in the barrel. Jim Waters said he's having a similar issue. I guess the moral of the story is to be careful, but when you're not careful, it's the humic acid that's dark, and that is darker than most. We're trying to get the potassium with the humates in there. Yeah, the Grandivo too. The Grandivo, great results with the Grandivo. The cost is killing me, and it didn't want to mix very well. Somebody said it's like trying to mix hot chocolate into a cold glass of water, and it eventually does kind of get into solution. We got to get that price down, though. We've absolutely got to get that price down with the Grandivo. But we like the results, and it is, when it comes to grubs and other insects, that's a sore spot with me because I'm not a big fan of, as you know, of overusing the organophosphates and the neonicotinoids and dealing with shrinking bee populations. So we're always trying to figure out the best and least expensive way to deal with the grubs. And Grandivo was a winner with efficacy and a loser with price because it's pretty expensive. Guys, we're going to wrap up at 45 minutes. So listen, it was good to get back with you. I'm going to work hard at trying to organize this marketing campaign. I really, really want to help you with renewals. And yes, Mike, definitely. We're ending anyway. So let's get organized. Let's get things together. Let's start our renewal process next week. Please correspond with me if you need any particular help. But this time next week, we're going to spend the entire call on organizing that renewal campaign and what you should do to get it done. Think about building your list. You need the list. That's key. with next year's marketing, you need to build that list now. So let's get organized, let's get it together, and let's keep growing. So thanks, guys. We'll talk to you next week.